Welcome to episode 15 of The Yogi Show with Pedro Luna and myself, Yogi Bryan. Our amazing guest today is Donny Starkins. Why do you want to listen? Well, Donny's yoga journey started in 2005 after having 7 knee operations. Now he's a professional speaker, teacher, and brand ambassador for Lululemon. In this episode, we talk recovery from addiction, finding purpose, and how we all go through some shit. Stay tuned. We have a mid-episode trivia that we provide the answer at the end of the episode. Visit theyogishow.com. Let's get to the show.
All right, my friends, welcome to the show, Mr. Donny Starkins. Thank you for being here tonight, brother. How are you?
I'm doing so good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely, man. We are grateful to be in your presence virtually on a recording. So it's awesome. Brian, what's up, brother? How are you?
What is going on, Pedro? What is up, Donny? I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today. Donny is a local Phoenix yoga teacher, so I go and take his class, little Wednesday morning early class, and I'm grateful you're on, man. Love what you're doing.
Dude, I'm grateful to connect with the both of you guys. This is going to be great.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, man. Lots of fun to be had, man. Donny, you are absolutely killing it, man. Like when I looked you up, I was like, okay, like we talked about Donny Starkins, like let's reach out to him. And then I looked up podcast. This was yesterday. I searched podcast and I just put Donny Starkins. You had like 10 podcasts. I was like, well, we got to be unique, man. We got to get something out of Donny that he hasn't already said, like something fun, something funny. I was like, we got the humor vibe. He's a bro. It'll be fun. Like, let's do this. It's going to be great, man.
Yeah, we'll get it in, and you know, even if some of the stuff's repetitive,
of course,
it's new guests, and it'll be new to your peeps.
Yeah, absolutely, new audience. You know what I mean? So, and you got a cool story, man. You got a really cool story.
Really cool.
So just like hearing about it, I was like inspired. I was like, man, like all of us are so capable of overcoming adversity. And it looks a little bit different for everybody, obviously, like how we overcome it. But like sharing, like I would love for you to share, obviously, a little bit of your story at the jump. So to give the listeners some context on why you're so fucking awesome and what you're doing now. So if you could do that for us, that'd be great, man. Just let us know, like, what's up, dude? Like, how did you find yoga? Like, or how did yoga find you? Is it the other way around, you know?
Well, I'll start and answer that question, and then I'll backtrack, and it'll all kind of tie into the Cliff Notes version of my wild ride that has gotten a little bit more calm since my introduction to yoga.
All right, man. Awesome. Love it.
So I got into yoga. I was in the depths of an addiction to prescription pills, specifically painkillers at the time, and very, very close to my bottom. And my mom, she was doing yoga before yoga was cool, and
before the gram.
Yeah, exactly. And she kept telling me, you need to go to yoga. You need to go to yoga with me. Come to yoga. And I would always tell her, yoga is for girls and hippies. I'm not doing that shit. That was my response. And I was dead serious about that for a few years. And then I finally just went with her once to a 24-hour fitness yoga class. And I knew after that class that I would do yoga the rest of my life from a physical standpoint. So I have had 7 surgeries on my left knee, and and playing college baseball, and I'll backtrack to that in a minute too. But favoring my left leg for so many years, been so out of alignment. So my right hip from favoring my left leg, my low back, and the reprieve and the stretch that I got after that one session. From a physical standpoint, I was hooked completely. Now today, you know, little did I know what it would also do for the mind and the soul and the purpose of my life. But yeah, so, you know, from that day, I just knew I would do it the rest of my life, and eventually went to teacher training, and not necessarily wanting to teach, but knowing that I was going to do it the rest of my life. I wanted to learn the lineage and learn anatomy, and I was all in on it. But then like a week into teacher training, I'm like, I want to quit my corporate job and go teach full time right now. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go, man.
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah. So,
get in the van.
Totally. So if I backtrack a little bit, so yeah, I live here in Phoenix. I was born and raised here in Phoenix, Arizona, and grew up my whole life playing sports, specifically baseball, all the way until my senior year at Arizona State. And 15 games into my senior year, I had what was my 5th surgery on my left knee. And the
Jeez.
surgery was a
Gosh.
monster. It was a cadaver transplant of my meniscus, and I was the first person in Arizona to ever have this surgery. Um, but
Shit.
the
Wow.
doctor assured me that if all went well, it would be like having a new knee, and I would maybe even play again. But the day I
Mm.
woke up from that surgery, I knew I would never play another game the rest of my life. Like I just knew it was over for me from the just the unbearable pain and the massive signs
Mm.
of trauma. Like I knew it was
Yeah.
just over. And so from that day and for many years after, my world got turned upside down from this life of addiction. And my life got so bad that I ended up going into rehab. And in rehab I started to get really interested on like what the hell had happened to my life. Going
Mm-hmm.
from this
Mm.
baseball player star, like that was my identity, to a drug addict, like that really buried me for a little while. Like, where did it all go wrong? And after doing a lot of the work in 12 steps and therapy and personal development, what I came to realize was I didn't want to feel the emotional pain and loss of the love of my life, my purpose, baseball, everything I ever knew. One day it was gone. And then, yeah, there was physical trauma and a major surgery. And I had blamed it, I've had a lot of blame on the doctor. But really, at the core, it was something deeper, and it was just the loss of that. It's all I ever knew, and I didn't have another plan. And when one day it was gone, I didn't want to feel the pain, so I just pop pills every day.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's not going to do the body good long term, obviously. And I'm sure, obviously, I mean, you had to have known that at some point that was a means to an end, either like death or like something would have to shift eventually for you to get out of that pattern. Was yoga the answer?
It was part of it. It was part of
Okay,
the one of the pillars for sure, but not initially. Like first, it was just getting clean, surrendering, admitting I had a problem, that there was no way I was going to be able to stop on my own, and
right.
um, I just couldn't. There's no way. I had to go away. My parents intervened. I just had to go into treatment and just get right and cleanse and clear and detox all of the stuff I was taking.
Yeah.
um, so yoga is a huge piece of it. And, it's not a knock on the 12 steps. In fact, I go to a 12-step meeting still once a week. But the missing piece of the 12 steps, in my humbled personal opinion, is the yoga or the movement, the mind body connection. So in the 12 steps,
Hmm.
all this awesome stuff. You'll get freedom. You admit all your like deepest, darkest secrets to one person, your sponsor or whoever, some safe person that you trust. You
Right.
let go of all your resentments. You ask for forgiveness. There's so much freedom. There's meditation in the 12 steps, but there isn't movement. So if you believe in the mind body connection, that the body remembers everything, then our issues are in our tissues, right? So it is in there.
Oh, I love that saying.
Yeah. So our trauma, our
Yeah.
guilt,
Wow.
our resentment, all of that stuff, it's in your body on an energetic level. And the way you shift it is to move your body, because energy can't be destroyed, but it can be shifted. And so the yoga has been the gift that I feel like a lot of people don't get, that are actively in sobriety, but still maybe just missing a little something. And it's not to say I'm perfect. I still got plenty of work to do, but I am grateful for this last piece that I feel like has given me more freedom than I ever knew was possible.
That is super impactful, man. I can totally. That's why I love you, man. I can totally relate to your story. I play competitive
Bromance.
golf. Yeah, bromance for sure.
Yeah.
Got to embrace the bromance. But I play competitive golf all like since I was 12 years old. I had a Division I scholarship, New Mexico State, and I got burned out. I was just burned out mentally. I read so many like self-help, like motivational books to just get me in that mind state of playing competitive golf, because it's like 90% mental. Burned myself out, and I needed a social life, and I was lost. So then I went into, eventually I was addicted to painkillers as well, opiates, just really bad. And, went into recovery, 12-step program. But I was like, I was missing something even in that program. Like I was missing something. Like I needed like I wish I found yoga sooner. And that's what I can relate to your story, because you found that yoga And you said the issues are in your tissues, right?
Yeah.
That's freaking powerful, man. I'm going to write that
That's
shit
why you
down.
cry in yin class, bro.
Exactly. I'm putting that in the show notes for myself, ladies and gentlemen.
For sure, though. But I get that, and I hear you guys. I live in South Florida, and thank you for sharing that, Brian. That story, and Donnie for just opening up and being vulnerable. Both of you men on this show and this safe place, and the community of listeners that are listening to you, and the people that are out there in recovery. I live in South Florida, and there's a lot of recovery in my area, in my community. There's a lot of it down here, and there's a lot of yoga for recovery and. People in the program just trying to get better, and a lot of the students that come to my class, like we have, my classes, they have, we had donation-based classes, basically for that community of people to support them, and the impact that yoga can have and the shift that I've seen just as a teacher to these students that are going through a challenging time in their life as they're trying to come out of the hole. Has meant so much to me, just watching the transformations on the mat and holding the space for them to do the inner work and overcome adversity. So thank you guys for sharing that, and for allowing yoga to be a part of your path.
Yeah, it's and it's, to me, it's not, it may appear and sound vulnerable to other people, and today, honestly, me sharing my story isn't that vulnerable. It's part of who I am. Vulnerability for me might be more standing on a stage and speaking to a large group. And, I do some speaking stuff, and people would always say, like, well, but, you teach a lot of yoga in front of big classes. How is it any different? I'm like, in my mind a few years ago, it was way different. Cause there's a vulnerability there, and I'm just being seen. Yoga, like, I can talk, I feel more confident talking in a yoga class than I do like one-on-one. There's just something that's channeled. It feels fluid. The way I enunciate my words and the words that come up, it all flows so well. And what's cool is doing a lot of work into, more speaking events and diving in to see, like, where was I stuck? And really where I was stuck in the fear of public speaking. But today I know how to work through the fear of public speaking. Yeah. So when it comes up, you can label it as fear, or you could just label it as like, this is just my body getting ready. It's just energy.
Exactly.
Good. Yeah. And so it is really just a mindset shift. But it's definitely still always a work in progress.
No doubt. Funny you say that about that fear, right? So it's that, do you have that nervous energy, that anxiety about doing something? Public speaking is like the number one or number two thing. Like, I think Brian talked about it before. It's like death and then public speaking, right? It's like death and then public speaking.
Death is number one, fearless, and then second is public speaking for like human fears.
Right. And so, like, when you think about that, like, that's a huge thing. And I remember we've had some conversations, Donnie, we talked about before the show about we've had some nice guests on this show, Brian Kess, Keno McGregor, Dylan Werner, Donny Starkins, like all the names, like everyone else's name I didn't name, like you are all important too. And I remember getting super nervous before these conversations initially, and just sitting in my bedroom sweating, like thinking about having a conversation like we are right now. I can't even see the person. They can't even see me. I'm talking to the wall in my bedroom, and like getting super nervous, but channeling that instead of like fear and anxiety of what's to come as like energy, and using that energy to raise the vibration and like put it out there, and just like, speak my truth and share a message and like all those things. So whatever it is that you're feeling that fear or anxiety about, I would say do it more often. You got to do it more often, and then you overcome that,
Yeah, this is like one of the greatest gifts that the yoga practice teaches us is getting comfortable being uncomfortable, right? That yoga pose,
yes.
That one that just we always want to run from or fidget or come out of, and to be able to stay and sit and let the uncomfortableness actually be our teacher. And, whatever we're in the practice of, we'll grow stronger. So if you're practicing getting uncomfortable, you get comfortable doing it. And the moment we start to get uncomfortable, if we run or we pop a pill or we go jump on our phones or whatever the form of distraction is, like that is, you're going to be in the practice of being really distracted. Instead of, like the yoga practice teaches us, to sit, stay with it, turn towards the uncomfortableness.
Exactly. Yeah. Feel it. When I was in college, I studied communication. That was like one of my things that I studied. And I remember like it was an impromptu communication class where you had to basically the teacher would give you a subject, and in 5 minutes you'd have to go up to the front of the class and have a 10-minute presentation and a speech on this subject.
I'm sweating.
Yes.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, it was ridiculous. And one thing that, and it's just coming to me right now, one thing that she talked about was there's this famous actor, I don't know who it was back a while ago, but she would get super nervous before her, like Broadway. She was on Broadway, so on the stage, she would get super nervous going on. And like, I think someone was like ragging on her about being so nervous. She's like, this is what makes me fucking great is this nerves. Like she channels that nervousness. So it's like, you know, you're not going to not feel the nervousness. And especially like me playing competitive golf, like they say, embrace the nerves. Like you worked hard to get to this spot, like to be nervous, you know, especially you, Donnie, like you worked hard to get to that spot to public speak, like wherever you're at, you worked hard to get to the spot to teach yoga. Embrace that shit. Embrace the butterflies. Like, don't fight it. Embrace it.
Yeah, those kind of tools and that mindset shift, because again, the gifts of this whole mindfulness yoga thing, meditation, to be able to control our internal response to what's happening outside of us, you know, that inner strength, that ability to just kind of be the calm in the storm. And if there's crazy stuff around you, or if it's a big speaking event or whatever it is, to be okay. And to also know that it's not even about you. Like, it's not about me. It's about something so much bigger. Like, I'm actually not that important. But the message is. So it's like the moment we start to, and you know, the truth is, like for me, even as a newer yoga teacher, and I guess this kind of ties into my story, because my first couple of years of teaching, not everybody knew my story of recovery and addiction. My closest people, but not like all my students. You know, the first couple of years, I wanted a big following. I wanted a lot of people in my class. So I wasn't fully being seen. And Seane Corne is one of my teachers and has become one of my friends, and one of the most, if not the most inspirational person in my life. And the first time I met her was at Wanderlust Aspen many years ago. And I took her class, and she just, everything she was saying, like every time she talks, it's like fire, straight fire to my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, who is this? Is she in recovery? She's like speaking to my soul. And she said the words, the question, how dare we not? And for me, the first time she said it, it was, what came up for me was, how dare I not teach something more than just a physical practice? I'm teaching in Phoenix and Scottsdale, and there's a lot of people driving nice cars, looking really good on the outside, but I know they're freaking dying on the inside. I know it. Yeah.
Right.
And so how dare I not teach something more than just a physical practice? Teach to the soul. Yep. You can teach in languaging that it doesn't have to be dogma or anything over anybody's head. You can frame it in a way where everybody can relate. So I went up to her after class and just introduced myself, and she told me she had this off the mat into the world leadership training. And I went there. It was a 5-day leadership training in Minnesota. And about day 2, she asked that question again. I think she was holding us in like a 5-minute lizard pose. I mean, we would hold these poses, and she would just like say things, and she was like poking at you and agitating and just getting all these things stirred up. I mean, she has a way of doing that, and so does yoga.
Of course, the lizard pose. Of course, the hip openers. She's going to do that to you, man.
And so she said it again, and this time it was, how dare I not share my story? How dare I not share my story of addiction? Boom. Like, how dare you not? Because you've been given a freedom and a life that is beyond your wildest dreams, and you're like worried about what other people think of you. And that's the truth, and that still comes up today. It's a lot less than it was, but I'd be lying to say that kind of thought still doesn't come up. So we were tasked with save a project. Go back into your community, create a service project for your community. And I started a monthly teaching event at some of the resorts out here called Sunday Yoga Service. I partnered up with Anton Mackey, another teacher here in Phoenix, and I shared my story. During right before the first session, there's a packed room, and from that day, after sharing, like everything changed for me as a teacher. I found my voice. I was able to actually connect with my students on a human level. So for whatever reason, teachers might be placed on some pedestal, and I don't ever want that. I am in this work, and I want everybody to know, like, this is I don't belong anywhere but in the work with all of you. And that day, just everything changed. My purpose, my voice. People were messaging me saying, one lady that she had lost her husband a month ago from the disease of alcoholism, and how that message helped her heal. And yeah, and so now it's like, how dare you not like share it? There's people dying out there.
Mm.
Right. Absolutely.
Fucking Donnie, I want to give you a hug right now, man.
Yeah,
the bromance is strong right now. Bromance is strong right now, man.
Well, you guys live in Phoenix, so you guys can actually meet up and hug. I can't from Boca Raton, but Donnie, that's amazing that you took that information, right? You downloaded that, and you were like, yes, like the universe is telling me that I need to go in this direction and shift and do this type of work. Also, like this is the next step on the path. You know what I mean? Like this is the next step on the path. And that takes awareness. Like that's mindfulness. When you're aware, you're downloading the message and aware, like this is speaking directly to me, and not just like, cool, and then putting it to the side, like taking action. And that's where a lot of us, we don't do. Like we hear it, we feel it, but we don't do anything with it. Like when you actually take the action and do something, that's when the shift happens. You know what I mean? That's when the shift happens. It. So that's amazing that you were like aware enough to do that and then actually put it into motion and do it. And shameless plug real quick before you kick us off with the next thing, but Seane Corne needs to be on our show. I actually sent her a DM yesterday. So
I will see her on Saturday. She's actually
okay, there we go.
You're on her book tour stop. She just launched her book, Revolution of the Soul. So,
exactly.
I will be the bridge.
Awesome. There we go. So as long as you don't piss Donnie off in the next 35 minutes, people, you're going to hear Seane Corne.
Donnie, you reach out to Seane Corne, I will give you the biggest bear hug next time I see you. That's an energy exchange right here.
You get that big beard all up in my face.
Oh, man. You guys are ridiculous, man.
I'll make sure I do it before class so it's not sopping wet and sweat.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, goodness.
Well, that's awesome that you're going to see her. And then I know she's on the book tour with, I saw that was sponsored by, in partnership with Lululemon. And I know you're obviously in cahoots with Lululemon, and you do some really cool stuff with them. I'm obviously a brand ambassador for Lululemon. It's been one of the most amazing gifts, and that just happened in May. I'm actually shooting my photos in a week and a half. I'm doing my photo shoot.
Boom.
So it's like amazing transformation is happening with me and like this growth with Lululemon. What has it been like, speaking about speaking engagements and growing in service, like what is it like for you now when you go to these big events, outside of just the community yoga classes and are sharing, I'm assuming, are you sharing your story at those big events? Is that part of your shtick now that you do to inspire and such?
Yep, absolutely. In fact, it's how we kick off the entire 2.5 day experience. It's when I'm one of the facilitators and also leading the yoga, I will start it off and talk about what my purpose is. And I'll also share what I thought my purpose was. And yeah, it's definitely a Cliff Notes version of the story, but it is a great way to activate a weekend full of vulnerability. If they see someone on stage that is like in this and flawed and had all this stuff happen, but is able to be standing up there first sharing the story, but also just through the work of just personal development, yoga, 12-step, actually find purpose. Or, I always talk about that my wound of addiction or my past has given me an access point to a greater purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And that's mind-blowing to me because the addiction thing just really buried me in guilt and shame for many years because of just like what happened to my life and some of the decisions that I made when I was in it deep.
Right.
And the fact that today it's my best asset, it's mind-blowing to me. And it's really easy for me to want to share this thing, not throw it up all over everybody's face, but just share it for those that, want to hear it. It's not like I'm talking sobriety or recovery in all my yoga classes.
Right.
Even though the framing, I think we're all recovering from something. And I
Right.
don't
Some
make
sort
a
of trauma, something.
blanket
Yeah.
statement, but I mean, we all have smartphones, and I think that
Gosh.
alone is its own addiction. So,
Oh, yeah. We got to talk about that for sure.
yeah. So, but yeah, getting back to the Lulu stuff,
Yeah.
Lululemon
Go ahead.
has also changed the trajectory of my whole career. With I started as an ambassador. I'm actually on my fifth year of my ambassadorship, and for a
Congrats,
few years,
man.
yeah, thank you. It's such an
I'm on
amazing
fifth
company,
month.
and for those that just know them as expensive stretchy pants or expensive clothes, like the company is rooted in the yoga principles and lives it more than any other company. I would beg to say any other company in the world. The way
I'm with you.
the way they care about their employees and what they do in community, diversity and inclusion, like everything, it is to be somewhat on the inside now. It is so cool to
Dude,
see,
that's awesome.
and what they've done for me, and being able to be an ambassador and now working with the company, leading and teaching to their employees from executive level down to their operations and warehouse. All of their employees go to this personal development experience, and I get to lead it, and it's quite mind blowing. And there's no way I'd be where I am today without Lululemon, without some of the leaders here in Phoenix, and then Danielle Nagel, who is the director of mindfulness at Lululemon and
Yep.
is the mind behind Purpose and Practice, which now is Lululemon's internal personal development program for their
I know.
employees.
And how cool is that they developed this personal development program and then like the invitation was there for you to be an integral part of it. How amazing and inspiring. Like I honestly I'm aspiring to be like something that you're doing. I'm not trying to take your job, bro, but I'm trying to be in the mix with the company as it grows because I know like the power of the brand. I mean, I had manifested for a lot of people knowing this in the show, but like 6.5, 7 years, it was on my vision board. Like I want to be an ambassador for the store, and it wasn't to wear cool clothes. It was to be part of something bigger in a community, and that's what like my life is about these days. Is like creating a sense of community. This show right now, if you are hearing this show right now, or on this show, like you are part of the greater sense, the community that I'm like looking to be a part of, to raise the vibration of the world, to share the gift of yoga with the world, and touch as many lives as we can, and help change as many lives as we can, impact, and lighten up and help people just feel better, have a different mindset and a mentality that doesn't have to be one certain way. There's not just one way to slice up the pie. There's all of us have different paths on the way to get here to where we are in this moment, and that with the yoga's meeting us where we are, and this conversation right now, it's just meeting you where you are, and allow this to sink in and just help you level up, and just help you grow.
Yes.
Yeah, that's deep. And I would say the one, just speaking to you directly, Pedro, and you in the future, Brian, with the Lululemon thing, that what they've taught me more than anything is to stop waiting for other people to make things happen. Tap your own
Right.
shoulder. Stop waiting for people to tap your shoulder to make things happen. And
Yep.
that's just something I heard early. And I have asked for things constantly with my store and with Lululemon. It's not asking for free clothes. It's asking for things in the community, asking to be a part of something bigger and not
Yep.
waiting for anybody else. And because of that, that's a big piece of what has gotten me to where I am in terms of working with such an amazing company.
Absolutely,
That
man.
is
Those
inspiring.
BHAGs, the
Yeah.
BHAG.
Yeah.
Donnie, what's one of your BHAGs?
So it would be a global ambassador now. So that would be a big
Love
one
it.
for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be the ideal progression for
Yes.
me.
Yes.
And I have friends and teachers and people that are global ambassadors, and to see what that's done and how that's changed their life on a
Oh,
whole
huge.
nother level.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jeez.
that's a big
It's
one.
on my it's on my list too. So BHAG out there is a big, hairy, audacious goals. That's what that stands for. So I said that right, Donnie?
You did. You nailed it.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I want to make sure so they don't like kick me out of my ambassadorship. So, but that's what that is. Brian, give me a BHAG of yours, man. This is a wild card question for you,
Look,
man.
wild
Big,
card.
hairy,
I've been thinking
goal.
about the wild card. So, like, I hear that we're gonna send some people up to the moon soon, right? Probably in the
So
next.
is that one of your
years.
goals?
Like, what, Donnie? What or Pedro? What if you were the Lulu ambassador to the freaking moon? I mean,
Let's
you never
go.
know. Let's go. Let's go.
Get me on the ship. Donnie, you coming?
Let's roll. Let's do it.
First yoga on the moon. This is it. Donnie, you can lead the class.
Chaturangas would be way easier in zero gravity than seriously. I would do extra push-ups on the moon.
Oh my gosh, man. So fun, man. So fun. So this is the whole point of the premise of the show, right? It's yoga, mindfulness, and gratitude with a touch of humor. Like, I'm not sure there's other shows out there that can bring in all the elements and have a little bit of fun as we lighten up along the path, you know? Because, like, we're all just here to do our thing and to share our light and shine it, you know? So it's amazing. It's amazing.
Hey, this is Yogi Bryan chiming in with that mid-episode trivia. Time for some trivia, yogis. Make sure you don't cheat. Don't look at your phone. Don't Google it. Let's see if you can get it right. The trivia is, which country was the Caesar salad invented in? So which country was the Caesar salad invented in? That is your trivia question. We're going to have the answer at the end of this podcast, so stay tuned for that. And if you haven't told your friends about the podcast, tell all your friends about the podcast. Subscribe if you can. Just pause this right now. Go subscribe to the podcast so you can be in the loop for future episodes. It'll just send you that reminder like, hey, another episode here for you. Boom, boom, boom. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. And if you can leave a review, that'd be great. If you're on Apple Music or Stitcher or Google Play, there's a place for you to leave a review. So after this show, if you like it, leave a review. We would love that. But let's get back to the show. Boom. So both of you are Lululemon brand ambassadors. And for the people out there listening that maybe want to be an ambassador for Lululemon or maybe another brand, like what are some tips that you can give people? I mean, I'm not an ambassador yet, but what are some tips like that you can give someone? And then you've said it's not about the clothes and the expensive or whatnot, pants, shorts. I love their clothes and they're high quality, but like, what are some good tips that, to be an ambassador?
Donnie, you want to go first?
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. I would say
Shoot.
the first thing that comes up for me is do something more than just teach yoga or teach spin or teach CrossFit, whatever it is. Get out into your community, have a service project, a passion project. It has to be something more than just packing a room full of whatever class it is. Get out there, be in the community, do something greater than you. And that is in exact alignment with Lululemon's core values. And just connect with the people at the store, make those human connections and make it more than about you.
Absolutely. Because it's always more like, just like you said earlier, it's not about us when we're in the room. It's about the message. Right. And so like, for me, it's like, for me getting, becoming an ambassador, and it was definitely community. That was the key piece for me, was creating a sense of community and, just showing up. That's what it comes down to, showing up. Like, how are you showing up, not only for other people, but really how are you showing up for yourself? Like, are you holding yourself accountable to level up in your life and continue on this growth? Because when you're doing that, you're serving more and more people. So I would say that staying true to yourself and community, like showing up at any invitation that's available to be part of something bigger, for sure.
Yes, man, that's great advice. Both of you, that's great advice. And like, I want to tell or talk to everybody out there listening, because, yoga there's so many different aspects in yoga, and like what Donnie has, like, that's his story and he's sharing it, and that's his, like, it's his fucking story. And then Pedro's got his story. I got my story. Like, don't try and be Donnie. Don't try and be Namaste F. Don't try and be Yogi Memes. Be fucking you, because you have a unique story and you have shit that you're dealing with that yoga is helping you with. And that's going to help somebody else. If you share why you came to your yoga mat and you share your story, that's going to be fucking super impactful to so many people out there. So do you.
Yeah, being you, authentically you is the key. That's the key. Donny, how has being a brand ambassador for Lululemon and creating community, so I know I read on your website, you're the yoga teacher for the Phoenix Suns. So that's amazing. Is that correct?
That is so once they got a new coach, that has slowed down somewhat. They've had a lot of turnover in their coaching, and typically it is, who's at the top and what if the head coach is on board. And
if they do yoga,
since they've had a new head coach, that has slowed down significantly. But I do teach to some of the people in the organization. But to say I am still the teacher for the Suns would be a stretch. But that could change based on the coach, and hopefully we can stay on them and get beyond just the organization off the court, but get back with those players. So
Absolutely.
That has slowed down a little bit.
So my question, well, even you have done it before, and I know you've worked with other pro athletes too, is like you were an athlete, a Division I athlete. You overcame, you had some things happen injury wise. Now that you have these tools of mindfulness, mindset, when you teach athletes or elite level athletes, how is it that, when you're teaching them, does that mindfulness component, are you teaching mindfulness? Like, cause that's so huge nowadays, or is it like the whole thing? Like how do you do it with coming into a setting like that?
Great question. So first, I think it's important to, if I go into a setting like that, is to qualify myself as to why I'm the person up there teaching this group of individuals. And if it's specifically athletics, well, then I can get into my story and talk about what I shared with you guys, what I thought my purpose was. And I have to tell these athletes that it doesn't matter if you have the most amazing retirement ceremony one day, or your career ends on a dime with a bad injury, or you get cut. It's going to end one day, and you better know who you are beyond just who you are on the court. If that is your only purpose, no matter how good it ends, it will be rough and you will be lost. Yeah. So you better...
Dude, you just gave me chills, Donny. Chills, dude.
You gave me chills, Donny, too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's just, that's my story. And so this was the pain and the core reason of why I almost killed myself taking pills. And so if I think about then getting into, I didn't have yoga meditation when I was playing, but my God, if I would have learned had breath work or meditation, or even the stretching part of yoga, as a baseball player, where 90% of the game is mental, and you have to have a really short memory, because if you had a really shitty game the day before, you obviously don't want to carry that attitude and that mindset into the next day. And so mindset is everything. And the quality, and I talked to the guys about like the quality of your performance on the field is determined by the quality of your practice. And if you don't have a practice of mindfulness, which teaches us to focus and ignore distractions, and a practice that allows us to pause and take a breath and learn how to respond instead of react, and be able to be the calm in the storm, then you're just going to get caught up in mind stuff that is going to ultimately basically separate you from the competition of those that are strongest mentally. Because especially baseball, and again, Brian, you can relate golf. I mean, what a mind F. I know you guys can cuss on this, but I didn't know if the F word qualifies too. So
I think we said fuck 20 times already, Donny, but whatever. That's all good.
Donny had me at namaste. Donny had me at namaste.
Donny,
I love this dude.
Love this guy.
I love this bro. No, but it's so true, identity. And I know a lot of people can relate, especially, I don't know, maybe the bros out there, if you played sports or whatnot. I mean, it's hard to make it to the professional level. I wanted to make it so hard. I wanted to make it to the professional level in golf, and it's just like a mind fuck. Like, you have to, everybody is at the same level physically as you. Everybody's at the same level, like practicing physically, and it's like a mind thing. You know, you can practice as hard as you want, and then you can go play 18 holes and play them completely shitty because you're not thinking right. You know, and I know you can relate, Donnie, but it's like you're not playing baseball anymore. What the fuck? Where's my identity? Like that was baseball. Like that. This was golf. Like where? What am I? Like I woke up and played baseball. I woke up and played golf. I woke up and played football. Like where the fuck am I now?
Yeah.
And it's like coming back to that mindfulness. You don't have to just do yoga. Maybe it's like walking, or maybe it's like art, or maybe it's finding something else. But it's like you got to find like just what is just like feeding your soul, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, for me, it was yoga. For like us, it's yoga. It seems like, because we can have that movement. And Donnie, like one thing like that I've really had to tone down is like my fucking competitiveness when I came to yoga. And like when I first started coming to yoga, like, you know, I wanted to build an Instagram. I wanted to get popular and whatnot. And I've really had to tone down my competitiveness. How has like being an athlete and then coming into yoga where it's like you don't want to be competitive, like how have you like faced that?
Early on, practicing yoga and early on teaching, that was definitely me too. And, you know, I think when you start to, I love the personal development work, and glory to Lululemon again, because that's really where I fell in love with that type of work. But I also think that yoga is personal development. Like we are developing personally on our mats every single time we practice,
No doubt.
you know, and the competitiveness for me though, it was there. Ego is there early on.
Yep.
Today, dude, I just want to feel good afterwards. Like the exercise I do in the morning, I have to move my body in
Yes.
the first hour of my day, or I'm basically just a mess, a stress ball, agitated, reactive, frustrated. And so whatever the
Mm.
movement is, whether it's an Orange Theory class or a yoga class, or a Pilates class, like whatever it is, I have to move my body. And the reason why I do it, so I can be a good person and feel good that day. That is it. Because if I don't, like, you
Boom.
take yoga away from me, and shit's gonna get messy really quick. In
You don't want to be
no,
around
in
me.
the mind and the
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In all of the things, you know. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, and especially like painkillers, opiates are such a huge problem right now. Like it's crazy, like how
Yeah.
big of a problem it is. And even like going through my struggles and going through recovery on opiates, like I saw so many people pass away from like this opiate thing going on. And it's so easy to get caught up in it. I mean, you go to the dentist and they give you painkillers or whatnot, and you feel good. I mean, no matter who you are, you take a freaking opiate and you're going to feel good. You know, you might get a little nauseous, but you're going to feel good. And yoga is one of those things where like I fucking feel good when I go move my body or go in pigeon and just kind of get this release out. And man, it's just good fucking medicine for me. Yoga is, you know.
aim,
Yeah. It's the
yeah,
medicine.
aim into that, man. And I've had multiple childhood friends pass away in the last couple months. In fact, I just
Mm.
found out another guy from my high school today. They're just dropping like flies.
Damn.
Gosh, they are. Yeah, it's so
I'm
sad.
grateful
Like
also that it that I
so sad.
that I found a way out, and I wasn't. You know, if I was younger with this whole fentanyl thing, like I probably wouldn't be alive. Like that has brought things to a whole nother level. And you know,
Yeah.
whatever's happening, if they're cutting that with, I don't even know, but it's happening so much now. Um, so it breaks my heart, but it also lights a fire under my ass to say like I got to do more, got to step up. Like
Right.
Yeah,
there's people
do it,
dying
man.
every single
Yeah.
day, and like, you know, it just comes back to Sean's words of how dare we not? Like, how dare I freaking not?
Yeah.
I found a way out, and look at this life I've been given. And you know, the cool thing about recovery is one of the genius pieces of it is at the core of addiction, many will say it's selfishness and self-centeredness. The antidote, the way out, is service. So when you make it
Yep.
about when you
Mm.
make it about other
Yes.
people, but also knowing that in order to serve and to show up in the world, we do have to first show up for ourselves. We do have
Yes,
to make
yes.
sure our cup is full, but to make it about other people is, man, that feels so much better considering like how I used to live my life. It's just so much more fulfilling, and to be able to use my messed up past as a way to help and basically sometimes save people's life is mind blowing.
Yes. Saving people's lives. And that's why, I look at your Instagram and I'm seeing what you're doing. And I think it was today you were teaching like kids yoga. And like, I love that shit so much because like I have a 9-year-old and I take him to yoga practice with me. And I hope like this practice helps him in the future. Just because, when you get older, like there's, who knows, drugs out there, opiates, like just mental stuff going on, pressure. And it's like maybe when you're out doing these things, talking to people, that you're going to inspire someone and maybe they're going to help my son like down the road. Like you just never know, So
Yeah. You never know.
Spread the love.
Yeah, you
man.
never know
Spread
who
your story.
You never know who you're impacting. The trickle down effect of who you're sharing a message with and how that impacts the next person that they interact with, and so on and so forth. And yeah, absolutely. And just to stay on the addiction topic for a moment, because we touched on it earlier, let's get back to it real quick. Is the phones? Donnie, I know you had mentioned that too. You brought up the phones and the scrolling, and using that as an addiction to not feel or to numb out. And I remember being on a podcast as a guest, I don't know, a year ago or so, and them talking about, and her saying literally the quote, that word, like numb out on social media. And for some reason that stuck in me, like, holy shit, like numbing out on social media. Like people do that. And I was like, shit, am I doing that? Am I doing that in my life? And I was like, I hope not. And, for whatever reason, that one line has stuck with me, as like, I want to make sure that I'm not numbing out on social media. That if I'm on here, there's like a purpose. Yeah. The people that I'm following, there's a reason. And if it's something that's bringing me down, like stop it. Because if you keep liking it, it's going to keep showing up. Because Instagram and Facebook has a funny way of keep showing you the things that you like, and keeping the walls of your comfort zone super tunnel visioned, So, but Donnie, how do you feel about like the scrolling and the numbing out thing? Like, how can you relate to that?
Well, I can tell you that as a teacher of this whole mindfulness thing that still struggles with this, is really eye-opening to me to say that, like, if I'm teaching this stuff and I'm still feeling the pain, or the stress or the distractions or mindlessly scrolling through or numbing out, like if I'm still struggling with this, I know I'm not the only one. And I'm not afraid to admit that it's still a huge piece of my work. What's really helped me today is I will not. So I used to wake up in the morning, grab my phone, and I would look at email and look at social media the moment I woke up.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and then it would lay the foundation for my day. You get up and be reactive right away.
Right.
And
immediately.
Yeah, and so I was struggling with that, and I had a coach walk me through a little guided meditation visualization, and I can just share it with you really quick. So she
please
said,
do.
Okay, I want you to visualize 3 screens. On the first screen, you choosing social media and email. The second screen is going to be you choosing meditation, because that's what I said I wanted instead. And then the third screen will be blank. And she said, okay, close your eyes and visualize. When I make this swooshing sound, every time I make it, just have the screen change. So I close my eyes and she starts going shoo, 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 for like a couple of minutes. And I'm like, this is weird. Okay, but I'll go with the flow. And she finished and she goes, okay, I want to just check with you next week and just let me know how it's going. I'm like, what's okay. All right. Well, and then the next day I woke up with a whole nother level of awareness. I had space to make a choice. There was a little bit of space there to make a choice on, I could choose meditation, or I could choose to do what I'd been doing, which was not laying a really shitty foundation for my day. And I chose meditation, and I did it for 4 days straight, and it was amazing. And then the 5th day I had the space to make the choice, and I chose Instagram or email, whatever it was. And the rest of that day, especially the first half of the day, it was just a shit show. Like I didn't feel great. I was reactive, like annoyed in traffic. And ever since that day, I just made the commitment to not look at my phone. And ideally the first hour, that doesn't always happen. But definitely a meditation before I do anything else. And it's been a game changer for me.
Game changer. Everybody listening, game changer. I started that in like February just because I saw one of your posts too. You were talking about, Donnie, you were talking about, just being like addicted to the phone. Then I've been looking up research myself, and it's like your phone, they say, is like having a slot machine in your pocket, because like social media and just like all the apps, they want you to like scroll, and you get that like instant dopamine rush, like when you see your email loads or your likes, and especially doing that first thing in the morning. It's like meditate for 30 minutes at least and control your day.
Yeah, and then you walk away with it. Yeah, my wife right now, Summer, she's doing 100-day social media detox.
What? Really?
100-day. Yeah. She just told me about this like 3 days ago, and she's like, I was like,
wow,
oh, shoot. And she's like, I want to do a meditation, and it's like meditation, no social media, and she might have said no coffee, and one other thing, and I was like, oh damn, like you're going hard, So she's making shifts, but she's like, she's seeing the difference now that we're waking up at 5 a.m. and crushing workouts, instead of like getting on a phone or like we're like crushing workouts at 5 in the morning.
Pedro's getting ready for that photo shoot for Lulu.
Yeah, I'm getting ready for that photo shoot, Donnie. I'm getting ready. But seriously though, it's like what a difference it can make. And I've been doing the same thing. So I'm, we work out, we get all my kids and my family ready. I don't look, it's probably like 2 hours before I look at mine, 2.5, before like kids are out the door on the bus kind of thing. And it's such a difference in these last, 6-7 weeks or whatever it's been since we've been doing this, like, this program. And it's been great. It's been so different, the mindset. So
awesome.
different.
Luckily, Pedro's 3 hours ahead, because like I fucking hit up Pedro way too much, messaging him like, "Hey, look at this, look at this, look at this." But
Nope.
yeah, it's like a balance. Like social media is tough. It's like it's a great thing, but then it's like moderation.
Yeah,
totally. It's not everything. It's just our relationship with it. It's not like social media is bad. It's the relationship you have and what you're using it for. And it's, it's like everything. We set an intention before yoga class, like whatever we're going to pay attention to creates our intention. So if you set an intention every time you pop that Instagram
pill,
whatever
you want to call it,
app, exactly. If whatever your intention is, if your intention is to put a message out there that's going to make people laugh or inspire people, but if you forget to set that intention and 20 minutes later you're like down the hole. Yeah, exactly. Then you've gotten away from it. So it's like being intentional in every area of our lives, especially with technology, is I think many of our work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel that so much. And the way you said that, it was so beautiful. I want to hit on that. Your intention behind all the things that you're doing in your life. Let's relate that to yoga for a moment. I say a lot of times in practice when I'm teaching, it's like enter the pose with like grace and control, and allow yourself to be gentle with yourself in the posture, right? And allow the posture to be as it is, without preferences of what it used to be, what you want it to be, what it can be, what it should be. Just be as it is. So entering with grace and control and exiting with grace and control. Living with integrity and these values. These ways that we practice the things on our mat is the mat is the mirror it gives you the perfect mirror and the reflection of how you're living your life off your mat. Are you entering whatever it is, like your work? Are you entering it with your family and your relationships? Are you nourishing it with grace and control and integrity and love and kindness? Or are you doing it mindlessly, unaware, and just going through it, passing through the motions? Put your intention, and then where your energy needs to be. So I don't know. That just you sparked something in me, Donnie, to say that. So thank you.
Man, I feel like I'm in pigeon pose this whole episode. Like you guys are making me emotional as shit. Like I love you guys.
Oh, that's great. I love your words and how you're talking about, moving in and out of postures. And yeah, I talk about that all the time. The way you move in and out of the postures is a direct reflection on how you're moving in and out of situations off of your
In
mat.
your
And
life.
yeah, and if
Yes,
you can
man.
flow,
Right.
like even getting back to the athlete thing, I talk a lot about flow state. And our body
Yes.
and our mind are often separated from each other. And so breathing mindfully just allows the body and the mind to become one. So if our minds are just like constantly filled with the noise of all the mental chatter, or if we never get actually still enough to actually listen to our body, then we're always going to be stuck in our heads. And that's a really bad place to be. And so in order to find your flow, there is this like state of stillness that has to
Mm-hmm.
happen. The body and the mind have to be working together. We say it
Yeah.
all the time, but it takes it
Totally.
takes work to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes breath awareness, right? The breath is the bridge between the mind and the body. When we have the breath, we can make the union. You can make the connection. But if you're not breathing mindfully, you're not aware of what's happening in the moment, like how are you able to do it? You know what I mean?
Amen.
Like be here now.
Be here now. And flow
I love
states
it.
too are so important. Flow states, it's like
Getting into that flow.
theta alpha, right? Like in your brain, flow states. I've been studying a lot of flow states lately. Delta, you're sleeping. When you wake up, you're in theta. After theta, you're in alpha, and then you're in beta, right? We're in beta right now, talking. So it's like those flow states, alpha, theta, you have no concept of time at all. Like time's flying because you're having fun or you're watching a funny TV program or you're just reading a good book. You're in those flow states. Like you can get to those flow states in yoga. You can get to those flow states in meditation. It's normally first thing when you wake up or like right when you go to sleep. And you can program like your brain, your subconscious is a computer program. That's the system that's running what you're seeing outside. So if you're putting some good shit, you're waking up in the morning, instead of looking at your phone, you throw in some gratitude or you throw in some mantras like, hey, today's going to be a great day, or like, this is going to be my day today. Like you're going to find that intention, just like you said, Donnie, like coming back to that intention.
Yeah, and it's gonna be your day.
It's going to be your fucking day. Hey, if you're listening to it, this is your fucking day. If you're listening
It's
to
your
this.
day. Let's go. Let's go, man.
That's so good.
Man, Donnie, you must motivate the shit out of every person that you touch, man, and in all your
Seriously.
classes, man, to come hang out with you.
I just speak from the heart, and I think that's great. When there's newer teachers, or if it's a teacher training I'm leading to future teachers, the one thing I would always say is be real, be authentic, and speak to your heart. If you're just
Authentic.
spitting out yoga poses, you'll just be another yoga teacher, and that's okay. Like maybe that's what you want to do. But if you're wanting to teach, like this is what Seane Corne did for me, is she made yoga make sense for me and talked about the mind body connection, and that the physical piece of it is just such a small piece of the practice. And to
Right?
be
Yeah.
able to actually use the practice to find freedom, to be free, and
Mm-hmm.
most of it is just freeing ourselves from ourselves and getting out of our
Mm-hmm.
way and moving all the stress and tension that's been created from all the madness of our minds. But to
Yes.
be able to do that and find freedom and really just walk out of class a better person,
Right?
and be a
Yep.
good person when you leave class, not just to the world but also to yourself. I mean, I talk about
Yes.
this all the time. I do a yoga retreat called Love Yourself, and I'm always on this self-love topic because everywhere I've taught, all these events, retreats, the common theme is that we do not love ourselves enough.
Mm,
The way that
Mm.
we talk
yes.
to ourselves, as opposed to, if you were to think about a friend who's going through a tough time or struggling, facing a tough challenge or feeling inadequate, how do you show up and how do you talk to that person, your friend? You're like strong and your body language is solid and your energy is positive. But like when we mess up, we do something stupid or we feel inadequate, like the way that we talk to ourselves, totally different.
Right? It's like if you say, I think I heard this in recovery or whatnot. If you like had a person, like say another person, talk to yourself like how you talk to yourself, you'd probably kick that person's ass. Like you probably be like, dude, what the fuck? Like, don't talk to me like that. You know? But like we can get away with it as people. You know, or as like our own person. Like we wouldn't let anybody else say that, you know?
Right. You're gonna punch yourself in the face.
I'd punch
Yeah,
myself in
on
the face.
that love yourself topic, I always say that
Yeah.
the only story that matters is the one that we tell ourselves. And we may have been telling ourselves a story for our entire lives, but that narrative can change. But it takes practice. It takes practice, and
Yes.
this is where
Yes.
meditation comes in. People think meditation is about not thinking, but it's actually more about to
No.
notice what you're actually thinking about. Because if you're not satisfied with the way your life's unfolding, or if you're wanting to change the way you're living, you have to first change the way you're thinking. And then to change the way you're thinking, you actually have to notice what you're thinking about. And this is
Boom.
the gift of awareness, because it is awareness. That's the first step in creating any kind of change. Like we don't know if you don't know.
So true.
Yeah. And then once you know, you can't unknow. Boom.
Then you have a
Matrix.
choice. Then you have a
Yes.
choice, and then you can take personal responsibility to choose. And it's just like the meditation example I gave you. That little weird meditation thing that she did gave me space to make a choice. It gave me a little bit of a pause that allows me to make better decisions today, to make choices that align with my core values. I make less mistakes because you're just choosing from the heart. You're choosing from the heart and not from the head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely, man. When is the Love Yourself retreat, man? Like I gotta get on a plane.
Yeah,
I know I'm
come
going. Yeah, I need to go.
Love Yourself Sedona at Enchantment Resort there's 2 sessions. The second session is sold out at this time. So there's
There you go, bro.
January 16th through the 18th. This is Martin Luther King weekend, the beginning of it in 2020. So 16th through the 18th is still open. 18th through the 20th has a couple people waiting list right now. So
Nice, man.
yeah,
Nice. Congratulations.
thank you, man. First session.
How many times have you done this retreat?
Well, this will actually be my 5th time up at Enchantment. Yeah, and I have to say this one I'm actually co-hosting with Danielle Nagel, the director of mindfulness at Lululemon.
Oh,
Boom.
sweet,
Yeah,
man, sweet. I'm gonna see if I can get sponsored. I'm coming.
I'm so pumped to be able to bring her into some of my community that's come on these retreats, and she is one of the most inspirational people in my lives, and to be able to co-host this with her is going to be so freaking cool.
That's amazing, man. So cool that you're hosting that and that you're doing that with her. That's awesome. Really, really awesome. And maybe I can make it out there. But I love the concept. I love the love yourself, man. Seriously. One of the best quotes ever on this show, on the Yogi Show podcast, was from Jade Electra, who said, if I asked you to name how many people, if I asked you to name all the people that you love, how long would it take for you to name yourself? And I was just like, mind fucking blown, because like I don't even know if it would ever came up, man. You know,
myself's in the junk email. Like we talked about this.
Yeah, I'm in the junk email. I'm not even sure if I'm in the junk email.
Like right there, number 1.
You know? But Donnie, that brought it all back, man.
Well, the yoga is really the ultimate self-love practice. One of many practices that it is essential for us to be our own best friend. Part of self-love also is to sit in a yoga pose and actually stay with the pain or the struggle long enough to actually work through it, to not bail out of the pose. Or if it's something, even if you're going through a hard time, you got to sit in it. You got to feel it.
Embrace the discomfort.
Right? And the other piece is knowing that if I think about at my very rock bottom, I was completely isolated. I didn't want to hang around anybody. I thought I was the only one going through this stuff. I was putting all this blame on everybody else. So I was completely isolated. But mindful self-compassion tells us that part of being a human is that we're all going to struggle. We're all going to go through a tough time. And so it's actually what connects us all, common humanity, that we all go through shit. It's not what separates us. That's what connects us and brings us all together as one.
100%. Like we're not unique. Like that's the one thing you probably heard in recovery. Like you're not unique. Like the problems And I'm not saying like you're not unique. Like we're all like we all have issues, right? Everybody else like has some sort of issue that they're dealing with. It's like we're going through some shit, and as Yogi as a person, whatnot, it's like I found this in a meditation that like I'm only showing people what I want them to see. Like I even talked to my wife about this. It's like, we're only showing like what you want to see in the person. And it's like maybe that person that comes up to you and you feel like they got it all fucking together. Like maybe you think they got it all together, but maybe they don't. They're just showing you what they want you to see. Like maybe they're struggling really deep down inside, and you never know how you can impact someone with what you're talking about sharing your practice. And maybe you're practicing yoga and you're not a yoga teacher yet, but you've learned some things that are just fucking jewels that you can share to people. Share that shit. You know what I mean? Like share that shit because you never know like who's listening deep down inside.
Right, exactly. It's like you talked about, Donnie, earlier, the person driving all the nice cars. That doesn't mean that they're happy. It doesn't mean that they're in a good place, It doesn't mean that. People just, so many people are suffering out there and need just guidance, support, help, a kind word, a hug, a smile. Those go so far. 100%. So far.
This so episode, far. I'm really, this is a fucking bromance right here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Good
Did we
shit.
just become?
Like, hey, do we just become? Yeah, we just became BFFs, all three of us right now.
Did we just become best friends?
I feel like I'm chilling with you guys in a room right now. Like, hey,
I know, like in a basement, just hanging out. That's so.
Donnie, you're the man.
Powerful, man. Donnie, you are.
You guys are too. This is, we carry each other, and especially, us men need to be able to talk about things, be able to joke, be able to get real and get raw and understand like we're all flawed works in progress. And we know that the work's going to never stop. I mean, this is it. And, one thing you guys were talking about earlier that came up for me about just even in recovery about share that shit. The only way we keep it is if we give it away anyways.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Like the beauty of recovery.
Yes.
It's like to keep my sobriety, to keep my freedom, I have to share it. And so it comes back to the question, how dare I not? And one of the questions I ask myself as the pattern interrupts sometime is, how free do you want to be? So when I catch myself going through the motions and doing things half-ass, or if someone wants some help and I want to be lazy and not pick up the phone or whatever it is, I just have to ask myself that. And it brings me back to my bottom where I was not free. I was in a very, very bad place. But that reminds me that I don't ever want to go there. I want to be free. And, the freedom that I have is contingent on the willingness for me to continue to do the work, because the work is never going to stop.
It's never going to stop.
And just to continue to show up raw and real. That's the bottom line, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Man, amazing. I think this is a perfect segue into how, Donnie, they have like lightning rounds on some show, like random questions, kind of fun. We have a hashtag lighten up round that we have some random questions that we wanted to ask you on this wonderful Yogi show to just kind of lighten it up, have a little bit of fun, and they're fun, and so I think you'll enjoy them. And as we wrap it up here on this beautiful episode, it's been so fun. You sharing your story with the listeners out there. I know 100% we're getting emails and DMs saying this helped me, this changed the course of my life. This one nugget helped me so much. So for sure, 100%, Donnie. So thank you, man. Thank you now.
Thank you guys.
Getting that out there. So we're going to let, so Brian's the wild card on this show. So we're going to let the wild card shoot first on the hashtag lighten up round. And let's see what you got, Brian. You got something?
All right. So we talked about the moon before. And if you're going to be what do we call a global ambassador? So say if you were a global ambassador on the world and then you became a Moon Ambassador. What yoga class would be your first yoga class on the moon? What type of yoga and what would the intention be?
Wow. This is pretty out there.
Elon Musk is listening to this right now.
You got, Donnie?
Well, I could be like really inauthentic and say I would do a moon salutation. Yeah,
that was my thought.
That's not what really comes up.
Yeah, because that's gonna get the likes on Instagram. Like we need to get like what is gonna really happen.
Man, I think
you're gonna take people up there to the moon. There's gonna be 20 people in that space shuttle going up to the moon. What are you gonna teach them?
I think it's just gonna be a nice, beautiful, fluid flow. It would be very similar to probably what I teach today. I don't stray away from that too of the sequencing changes all the time, but the structure of it and the music and the certain type of beat and playlists that I'll have all kind of ties together and ideally syncs pretty closely to the rhythm of the breath. I'm not sure how that all works up there, but I'd say I'd stick with one of my regular classes.
What song would be on that playlist? Like, what's your freaking, like, you're going to let them flow and you're going to throw this song on. They're on the moon. They're about ready to free flow. What song would it be?
Wow. Okay, it's not going to be anything with the moon because that's, again, cheesy. There's a go-to song that I play in a lot of my flows, and it's a Bob Moses song, Tearing Me Up, and it's just a good, really, there's a really good remix of it, and it just flows to the beat of the breath, and that's when I would crank up the music, let the students maybe go through the flow a couple times together until they know that sequence, and then let them flow on their own a couple times.
Flow it out.
How cool
on
is
the
that?
moon.
I love that.
Yes,
man.
I love it.
I love that. On the moon. On the moon. So you said Bob Moses, Carry Me Up. Was that it, Donnie?
Terry.
Okay. Yeah. Tearing, like ripping some shit up. Yeah. Like tearing up this podcast. Tearing me up. Okay, cool. Cool. Got it. Noted. # noted. Okay, Donnie. Who can hit a home run further? He-Man or Stretch Armstrong?
Oh, I'd say He-Man all day.
All right.
You just knock it out of the park.
Literally. Love it, man. I love the answer. Brian, go ahead.
Okay, so let's get back to the moon. So you're on the moon, because I'm just there. Like, for some reason, like I feel like you're
the full moon's on Saturday. Brian's feeling all the vibes.
I'm feeling out of this world right now. So
Galactic Ambassador. We're gonna call it the Galactic
Lulu,
Ambassador.
hit me up. I'll be your International Space Station Ambassador. Whatever. So you're on the moon, right? Which celebrity, and it could be a cartoon character at all. Like, they don't have to be like a real like live person. Which celebrity would you love for you to take that class on the moon? Anybody. Who would come there? Who would you want?
Wow. One celebrity, if I could choose anybody. The question is, they're practicing yoga with me on the moon.
Oh, yeah, on the moon. Like in wherever you're at on the moon, in a crater or like in the light space. We can see on a telescope. If I'm looking right here, I can see on a telescope and I can see you on the moon. Which celebrity would be there with you? I'm
pretty blown away, and one of my favorite people is the Dalai Lama. So I think that just to see him in his prime and just flowing it out and maybe rocking out a one-handed handstand somewhere, that would be pretty cool.
Oh gosh, right?
Let's go.
Right? I could see him in Pinch My Asana. doing full scorpion.
I love it, man. That was an awesome answer, Donnie. That was really good.
That was awesome.
That was really good. Donnie, how long could the Incredible Hulk hold plank pose?
Wow. Incredible Hulk plank pose. I mean, I'd say 108 days.
Oh, yes.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's, yes.
Yes. Oh my God. Okay, Brian, one more.
One
What do
more.
you got, Brian?
So let's see here. So
Wild card Brian. It's Wild Card Wednesday. It's a Wednesday. Wild Card Wednesday.
okay, this is gonna be like completely random here. All right, so a pine tree. You got a pine tree here, and you got a redwood. Okay, which one would be? Which one would become an Instagram influencer?
A pine tree or a redwood? What the
pine tree or a redwood? I was gonna go through enlightenment, but you were gonna say the redwood would hit enlightenment because, it's been around longer. But like, who becomes the Instagram influencer?
Wow.
Because
these are the most random questions ever that I've ever been asked. I'm sure. Well, I know pine trees are supposed to be really strong. So I don't know if they're stronger than a redwood, but I would have to imagine they probably are.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna, and hopefully there's no one Googling that to see if that's really the case.
Hey,
but
they
Karen
are.
is.
Thousands
Googling it.
thousands of people.
Karen's Googling it.
Thousands
She's
are
gonna
Googling.
go to Congress with this shit.
Donnie said pine tree on the podcast.
I think they're pretty solid, and I like the smell of them, so I'm going with that.
Ooh, yes.
Let's go.
Hey,
pine tree.
it's a
man.
holiday
Pine tree.
season.
Are there pine trees in Arizona? Are there
Yes.
pine trees in Arizona, boys?
Oh yeah, drive an hour and a half north on your way. Sedona, Flagstaff, plenty of pine trees.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I'm in South Florida. There's palm trees, and then there's some more palm trees. That's
And
about it.
hurricanes. just
and
just
hurricanes.
east of you. Coming for
shit.
you.
Well, Donnie, that concludes the Lighten Up round.
love
You
it.
You passed with flying colors, man. You had some amazing answers.
Amazing.
And we've never asked any of those questions to anybody. So, and no one else has ever asked you those questions either.
Nope.
So,
Pretty random, boys. Pretty random. It's all good though.
yeah, man, that's what makes the show: yoga, mindfulness, and gratitude with that touch of humor.
Yes.
That's it. So, well, thank you for being here, man. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to hang out with us, to chat with us, to share your story, to shine your light. And we really appreciate you. And I know the listeners are going to absolutely love this episode. We will take it back to the show notes. Make sure you go back to the website to check out all the links where you can find Donnie on Instagram, his website, his course that he has online, and to experience one of his retreats or go to his public classes if you happen to live in the greater Phoenix area.
If you're in Phoenix, come take a class with Donnie.
Yeah. And Yogi Bryan. You should hit him up. You guys should do a tag team, man. You guys should do a tag team.
I'm just the
back-to-back
dude
class.
like giving Donnie big bear hugs. Like that's it. Like you'll be in class, but I'm giving Donnie bear hugs first. So,
You guys are great, man. This was so much fun, and you're doing amazing things, and it's just an honor when I mentioned, to just seeing your guys' guests line up to have me amongst some of those amazing teachers and people really means a lot. So it's an honor to be here with both of you fellas.
Hey, Donnie, we appreciate you coming on. We look
Appreciate
at
it,
we look at impact. We look at what you're doing,
Yes.
and like you're doing it, man. You're helping out people.
Yeah.
Helping out people.
That's it. Adding value. That's what this show is about. Adding the value.
Yes.
So, and you're doing that, Donnie. And you too, Brian, with your beard game.
You know it.
All
Just
about the beard.
keep it growing. Keep it growing. It's patience, everybody. Just keep it growing.
So, with that being said, we're going to sign off on the beard growing. Namaste, my friends. And we will see you for another episode next
Boom.
week. Namaste, boys.
All right. Namaste.
Thank you so much for listening to the Yogi Show podcast. We truly appreciate you listening. Thank you, Donny Starkins, for coming on the show and sharing your inspirational message. And I know you want the trivia answer. You want the trivia answer, I know it. But before that, please visit theyogishow.com. We provide you all the show notes there. Special thanks to DJ Taz Rashid for the music on the Yogi Show today. DJ Taz Rashid is an awesome musician. He's a great addition to your yoga class playlist. So go on Spotify, go on Apple Music, add them to your playlist for some great music. And here is the answer to today's trivia. So the question was, which country was the Caesar salad invented in? So which country was the Caesar salad invented in? And the answer for that is Mexico. Mexico was the country that invented the Caesar salad. Can you believe that? If you got that right, send us a message, please, because I think that was a tough trivia question. I didn't know the answer. But yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Definitely catch us next week. Every Monday, we release a new episode. So go subscribe so you can get those notifications. And remember, gratitude, 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 attitude of gratitude, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great rest of your Monday. Namaste.